Let's go! Who's up next?
Welcome, Internet, to the Xbox Empire podcast, part of the Play Some Video Games network of podcasts. I'm Elaine, joined by Donnie. It's Wednesday. Let's do the damn thing. Before we do the damn thing, though, because we will get off on a tangent and not do the damn thing.
So many
tangents. Let me give a shout out to our Patreon producers because I love you guys and we appreciate you. So here we go. Edwin Callow, Barry Cathcart, Josh Bonesaw Bourbon, Chris McElfresh, Devin Tyus, Kyle Heyman, Paul Calicote, Michael Masick, The Eggshen, Zach Bradshaw, Nick Fallhaber, Rudays 93, Rob Emanuel, Ben Moxham, and Grouchy Surge. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate everybody who helps out on Patreon, tweets at us, everybody who supports the show. That's why we do this, and we're so happy to do it because you guys are rad. Donnie, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I got to meet listener of the show, Chris, aka G.I. Jello from the Discord. Isn't it funny, like when you do internet stuff and you meet internet friends?
And you want to call them by their internet name, and then you're like, now it's awkward.
He actually messaged me the day of. He's like, by the way, my name's Chris.
Oh, thank God. Because I'm always like, do I ask? Should I know already?
Know.
I'm so awkward.
Because I only know him by his Discord tag. I've talked to him for 2 years, but I only know him by his Discord tag. But I got to meet him and his wife. They bought my Xbox One X, my Cyberpunk edition, which because he was a listener of the show, I gave him a very, very sweet deal.
Look at how nice you are.
I sold it for, I think he would agree with this. I sold it to him for as cheap as you could possibly sell one of those for.
I am impressed and pleased, considering the debacle with the Nintendo pins.
That's a big reason why I didn't mind selling it to him for so cheap. I've made so much money selling stuff.
Oh, God. Donnie's like, Captain, let's make a deal on eBay, except there are no deals, if we know you.
I raised like $1,600 over eBay the last 3 weeks. Just selling off old stuff that I had, just old collectible items and old things that I got that I'm not using that are in drawers. I sold most of my Switch docks. I sold a lot of extra controllers, a Joy-Con, that's it. I sold 8 pair of Joy-Con.
Whoa!
My Pokemon Let's Go Joy-Con sold for obscene amounts of money.
Yeah, those are crazy because you can't get them separate.
Right.
So those and the Animal Crossing ones, which I covet.
Sold those too.
I figured you did.
I kept my dock. That's the one dock that I kept. But that Genki travel dock is incredible.
I've heard really good things. I actually picked up I know we're talking about the Switch on an Xbox podcast. Hey, deal with it, people. I don't even care. I picked up a $20 used Nintendo dock during that crazy fire sale that GameStop had. So I'm excited about having a second.
It cleaned my entire shelf that I had set up for it. Like it's just one cable that I have nicely like pinned behind the desk. So it's even got its own holder. So when I'm not done using it, I can just throw it behind the desk and nobody sees it. And it won't go. All I got to do is reach and grab it and pull it back up.
I like that. I like clean desks, and I cannot lie.
So do I.
So I have a clutter thing. I need things to be in their place.
Yeah.
So I guess that speaks a lot to my personality.
So I sold all kinds of stuff, which is why I was happy to make a deal to a friend of the show, and he was so nice. And my wife, he said so many nice things about listening to us podcast and me podcast and all these things that he liked. My wife was like, "Don't say that. You're just gonna give him a big head. Don't do that."
You don't understand what you do to our egos. They're already. We do this on the internet. We're maybe borderline narcissists. We all know that.
Of course, people want to hear me talk about this stuff. Of course.
Dude. Oh, this is what happens when you still have 2 weeks till hardware day. Technically 1 day less than 2 weeks, but I've discovered we're 2 weeks from the in-between, which is the dark day between the two console launches. It's exactly 2 weeks.
Well, that's not a dark day. I'm going to be playing while everybody else just sits there and counts their thumbs.
Well, let's hope we get those consoles.
I'm going to make so much fun of PlayStation that day. Like the day after, November 11th, I'm just going to flood PSXP with pictures of me playing games. Like, how's
I do not condone this. Your listeners,
I
do not
have
condone
12 days, 4 hours, and 14 minutes.
Sexy new hardware coming. Speaking of, these things are like everybody's got consoles, review units are going out, and
Yep.
I've been seeing unboxings of both the PlayStation and both Xbox. And the S is tiny. I don't think I really realized it until I saw a human being holding it next to regular household objects. How like it's so little.
Do you think that's a sales boon? Do you think people care? Like if people walk into a GameStop and they're like, I want a new console that I'm hearing about, and the GameStop person goes, cool, here is the X, here's the PlayStation 5, here is the S. Do you think somebody looks at the S and they go, ooh, look at this tiny little thing, I want this one?
I think there exist people who care about that. I will say that I realize this may be an unpopular opinion. I care about the way my consoles look in a media center. I know there's been a lot of like drama about that, but I care. And so like whether or not I put it in a prominent position or kind of set back and kind of hidden, it depends on what it looks like. Like I can't control what it looks like, but how it looks does dictate where it goes.
We got those PS5 photos of it like just sitting on carpet and stuff.
They make me anxious. I don't like it.
Coach Smith 1993 asks, if we're going to sell our current Xbox, should we do so now? Yeah. Like
probably.
Yeah,
you probably
it depends. Actually, it really depends on which one you have, Coach. Because here's the thing: if you just have a regular model, the bottom for those have probably already fallen out. So you might just want to keep it, unless you just want to let it go. Like if you just want to get rid of it, then go ahead and get what you can for it. But if you're trying to get top value, it's that time is actually already come and gone. If you
maybe the X's, they're off the shelves. So a standard issue X, you probably still do okay on because you can't just walk into a store.
I think it's like 200-ish the last I checked.
I'm just going to give it to one of my kids.
There you go.
I'm not even going to bother. I'm not even going to bother selling it.
$200, it's still a 4K capable multimedia streamer.
Yeah.
And with the future of xCloud coming to it, it almost makes plus 4K Blu-rays and stuff. I kind of like it's just worth keeping if you're not getting at least 200.
I'm also the type of person who keeps the last model of phone when I buy a new one just in case. Because it gives me the option to plug it back in and play something if this thing craps the bed on me. I mean, maybe it's just, look, I'm very type A and I'm a planner.
He's got the 1S. Yeah, you're not going to be able to sell that.
I would get rid of it. Or I would keep it, yeah.
Well, I mean, you're not going to get anything for it.
No.
You're not going to get anything for a 1S.
If you have an extra TV in your house, stick it on that and use it for Netflix.
Or give it to a friend. Christmas is coming up. Box that bad boy up and give it to somebody.
Set it all up with a username and log into all their accounts for them or something and be like, here, code. I recommend Haunting a Bly Manor right now because I'm still emotionally distraught over it. Go watch it. So, but how do you feel about, you put this in the notes, but I'm going to steal it. How are you feeling about this PS5 next to the X and S and in furniture situation? All these consoles, how are we feeling about this? I
think the joke that I've been making for 6 months is absolutely true. The PS5 is huge. And it looks huge. And
it's a big boy.
I kept thinking that when we saw them actually next to each other that I would look at them and go, see, it's not that big. But I didn't. The moment I saw actual pictures, I was like, oh, it is that big. It's huge.
I really wish it wasn't white. And this is me. All my other stuff in the console unit is black. I just wish the whole thing was black, especially with that sick blue light on it. Like that's why I'm so enthralled with the Xbox's look, because it's just... it's black. I like that.
You can get those faceplates and change it. That's
one on the sides. Those big menu.
Those
the whole
plates
thing?
pop off, and there are already third-party folks making replacements, and I imagine Sony will make them too, because
I do like that.
They just pop off.
I do like that.
That's my favorite thing about the console. It's way too big for me to want to get one, but if they made a smaller one, I would hope that it would keep faceplates because I love faceplates.
I love faceplates.
I'll buy 30 of them and change them every day of the month.
I'll snap on. What do you want? Final Fantasy this month? Snap them on.
I could
whatever
easily
new game.
grab a handful of 3DS faceplates.
That's crazy. I didn't do the 3DS ones, but
I
had
so many of them. I have like 30 pairs of them.
Oh my god!
I have limited ones. I've got ones that you can only get if you were a Club Nintendo ambassador in Japan. Like I get strangely crazy into Facebook. I love accessorizing.
Well, that's the only unfortunate thing about the Xbox, right? Like you can't. I mean, look, it's I mean, it looks good though. I mean, it doesn't look bad.
I think it looks like it fits. It's going to fit right into people's things that they already have, because it doesn't really look that different than an Echo or any of these speakers or any other console or box that we have. Yeah,
it looks like if my Amazon voice device did a bunch of steroids.
Yeah.
It got real beefy.
It just kind of, and when you see it in people's settings, it just kind of fades into it.
I do like that.
Whereas PlayStation just stands out of it. I mean, it's just brash. It's
I
very
think
brazen.
for some people that's attractive.
Yeah,
you know, for some people
sure.
with very like I don't have a very modern
That's
look
me.
to my home. Mine is very like I'm utilitarian almost and like straightforward. So the Xbox actually looks better with the furniture that I own, but I don't hate the PlayStation.
I brought
just
that
think
up
it's
when it was unveiled, and everybody looked at me like I was being a hater.
no, it's just the truth.
Yeah, I was like, this matters a lot to me. I don't want a thing that's like I was thinking how big it is if I put it. I have these 2 plastic stands next to my TV, like plastic shelves.
Yep.
It would be so out of place.
Yeah, mine's going to be up on there. I actually cleared a spot for the PS5 because I bought both. And I had to move one of my arcade sticks that was up there because it's about the same dimensions as this big ass like lap arcade stick. And I was like, well, I'm ready. But holy crap. I mean, look, it's
something.
It's okay to care about the aesthetics of your console, I guess.
I do. I mean, if anybody else there that feels like that, I care. I always have.
I care.
So you'll never hear me shame anybody else for it because I care greatly.
You're allowed to care.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, 2 weeks. Hardware will be here soon.
Yeah. I'm excited.
In the meantime, I guess we have lots to talk about because Phil Spencer is still talking.
Actually, before we get into that, speaking of next week, Sean Capri coming over from the Xbox Drive. He has an Xbox Series X. If you didn't pay attention to their YouTube stuff, he unboxed it in the back of his car.
I love it.
Doing the Xbox Drive bod thing. But the review embargo is up next week, and we've made a scheduling commitment to have Sean. So he'll be first here to talk about his review of the box. We can ask him all the questions. It's just, that's when the embargo's up. That's when it all drops. We can do whatever we want. We can ask whatever we want.
Can't wait to trap him. I mean, be nice to him on our show. No, he seems like a great guy. So I'm very excited. Sean Capri
is the Bob Hope of podcasting. He's everybody's friend. He has zero
enemies.
I
like it.
He goes on everybody's show. I mean, he is just like the podcaster humanitarian among us.
He also has great hair. Don't tell him I told him.
He's a great podcaster. I mean, I love Sean forever.
So that will be next week. So we'll be able to talk to him about his experiences with the boxing
day one.
Week.
We'll be recording
That's
a day
exciting.
one live show. So if you're listening, maybe go watch us live so you can ask questions and stuff. Like right when we'll have them, you can do it live.
Follow us on Twitter, and you'll be able to know. Mm-hmm. Get ready. Gird your loins for this. It's going to be good. All right, now we can get into the man who never stops giving interviews, a.k.a. Phil Spencer. He's just so good at it. So he
was
just
on a podcast today.
That man must be exhausted.
Why aren't we on his list? How are these people getting to Phil?
Very nice. I'm very nice. I have an endless supply of like Xbox or t-shirts. Come hang out. So he who did he talk to for this interview? I don't even remember who he talked to.
Forgive me, I was looking at the chat.
How dare you?
I don't remember either, to be honest.
He was talking essentially about the idea of xCloud and like TV stream sticks and additional tiers of Game Pass.
I want to say Game Reactor, but I could be confusing that with another one because he's done so many in the past week.
He never stops giving interviews. Yeah. He never stops giving interviews. He was giving an interview, a podcast today, and I saw a quote from him about Game Pass where people were like, do you think you're going to need to change the pricing? And he's like, nope. It's good the way it is. It's successful the way it is.
It's so funny. In our own Discord and within PSVG, from the day it was announced, we've had several folks question its own viability, which I think is hilarious because it's Microsoft. Even if it lost money, it's not like they're not going to lose billions and they've got the money to cover it. I think by most accounts, what we've seen so far is if you omit the studio acquisitions, of course, because that's a company-wide thing, the Game Pass promotions that they've done in terms of the buy one, get in for $1 and everything like that, even with those they're about breaking even. It's about where they are now if you omit like the studio acquisitions from the equation. So they're about breaking even right now. And as we saw from their earnings, they're up 30%.
Yeah.
And they were up 30% from March in June. So they're up like almost 50% since last year. And you can only imagine that the Bethesda acquisition, the new console, and everything else that they're trying to push, Halo, that'll continue to drive that. So if they're borderline breaking even a little less now, if you're projecting that into the future, then that looks like a very promising venture.
Agree.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they made those strides relatively quickly as far as like new and unique services go. Like absolutely. Like The only person who probably did better was Netflix.
Yeah.
When you really look at it over time. And I have no numbers, and I'm not a financial
Especially
person.
for something that's not like Amazon, where it's
Exactly.
something you use anyway, so they
Right.
can keep hitting you with that. Like Xbox is a marginalized gaming platform just in gaming. Even in gaming, it was marginalized compared to PC, compared to mobile, compared to PlayStation's market share. It was a small thing. So for them to have the subscription, for them to be the ones that jump up over 15, 20 million subscribers, I think now, if we're taking those percentages, probably close to 20 now, where everybody else had the opportunity. PlayStation Now, Stadia.
Yeah, they tried.
Yeah.
They continue to try. Amazon's bringing Luna to the table too. They continue to try.
It was Xbox's full-on embrace of the idea.
That's what it is.
Yeah, it's not just here's a subscription for some games if you don't want to buy them. No, they were like, our best games are going to be there day one. That's such a huge difference. And
I think
that's the thing.
They went all in with this.
Yep.
And then drove the next generation with this, and they didn't break that commitment.
This
and
is what they do
that's
now.
what really did it.
And that's what
I know.
This is what differs them from Sony and Nintendo.
Yeah.
They are still selling hardware that plays exclusive games that you will buy the hardware for. Xbox has stepped out of that. They're no longer doing that. Xbox now sells Game Pass.
They sell services. Yep,
That's it.
they're good at it too.
Just Game Pass.
Xbox started doing what the whole of Microsoft was already good at, and they realized, oh right, that's what we do.
It's funny because his interview today, they asked him like, "Does everybody need to get Game Pass?" And they were like, "No, like you've got options. You can play on PC. You can buy the games outright if you want to." But they've made such a strong case for like what lunatic would do that.
And this interview that we're talking about here that he gave the other day further drives the point. I quote, "I think you're going to see lower price hardware as part of our ecosystem when you think about streaming sticks and other things that somebody might want to just go plug into their TV and play via xCloud. You can imagine us even having something that we included in the Game Pass subscription that gave you an ability to stream xCloud games to your TV and buy the controller." Like he's just going to keep driving that forward.
Was amazing because so many people were like, they're going to make streaming sticks. Those YouTube videos and stuff. I was like, duh. This was always the case.
They want to eat Stadia's lunch.
I mean, this is just if you're streaming, this is what you do. Mm-hmm. The whole point of streaming is that you don't need expensive hardware. You need cheap hardware that
works consistently.
Yeah.
That has access to the service.
They've already done this. They have their Microsoft, I think it's called Miracast. They had these little cast dongles you could do your Windows 10 thing from.
Yep.
They sold those for a while. They've done a lot of similar things with like Surface, and they've got sticks and stuff like that. This will be its own Roku-enabled kind of app device that has enough processing power and Wi-Fi that you can connect and play at a reasonable time. It'll be after it comes to browsers and after, like, they're focused on the biggest market first, and that's the phone.
I was just going to say, if you don't get this on phones ASAP,
phone is most important. So right now they are doing their browser workaround so they can get to iPhone. And when they get on iPhone, then I still don't think we've seen them push for the phone market. Right now, they're just dabbling. They're just like, hey, you can play it. They haven't upped the quality. They're not actually promoting it. They're not marketing. They're not telling people to do it. They are just saying like, hey, it's available. Here's a controller.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Once they get the browser workaround with the iPhone, then you're going to really start to see it. Commercials. You can play Xbox today for $1 on your phone. Like, it'll become, I honestly think for a while, it might even become the public appearance of Xbox might become phone. Because I think they're going to push that far. They're going to push it that hard.
I think it's interesting to think about that. And I wonder if they eventually leverage it into a better Surface phone style device too, because I could see them also wanting to do that. So yeah. I'm glad that they are successful with this service that they can dump it on.
That partnership commercial that they did with Samsung when they
they did one with Samsung.
We'll just see a lot more of that.
Yep.
And then once they get the phone and the browser working, then we'll see it come natively to desktops. Then we'll start seeing it roll out to consoles, and then that'll be it. It'll just be one of the ways you can play.
That's already included with the subscription that you have.
And then they'll sell a little box. Here's Game Pass with 3 months and a little streaming stick and a controller for $60.
That's generous. I was going to say more like 100, but that controller's $60 by itself, right?
Well, yeah, like but you would eat the cost, or at least I would. If I was Phil, it's like no. Let's give them Game Pass for free. Let's build the dongle for free. Think about a Roku, right? Roku's $20-$30.
Yeah. cheap.
Let's
That's
do the
not problem.
dongle for free.
Oh yeah, that for free for
Let's
sure.
put the
So,
controller in. They're not spending that much on controllers. Like we see their controller now. We have a question about it later. So like their controllers now isn't all that different than controllers they've been making for the last 10 years. You could sell it at $40 and not come out. Sell that thing as close to even as possible to push the drive.
Agree.
The drive is subscribers.
Or use all the warehouse of other original one controllers that you have and dump those into it. Who cares if it has this? You don't need the share button in that scenario necessarily. Do you know what I mean?
Start pushing it on TVs.
This is going to get
Roku
wild.
TVs and stuff natively.
This is going to get wild. I'm excited.
Again, I just thought it was funny that people thought this was news. I put it in here because it was a big story, but I really didn't see this as news at all.
I don't think it is. I think it's kind of clear that that's where this is going, but I think it's interesting that he's saying it out loud. That's what becomes interesting, right? Because we could all see, I think that if you really buy in on the service, you can see where it's going.
Oh, yeah.
But to hear somebody in his position say out loud, like, hey, why not? We'll just do all of it is exciting, I think, and encouraging, So let's talk about other exciting things.
This is actually news.
This is news. So the Coalition, our Gears of War makers, announced this week or in the last 5 days, that Gears 5 is getting a significant update later this year. I guess November 10, you're getting some of this stuff or all of it. Is that right?
Yep.
So you get 2 new difficulty modes. They're higher, Iron Man and Inconceivable.
I can't imagine playing Gears 5 harder than I played it.
It's already hard. But
I
anyway,
played it on
there are
normal
people,
and I died a lot.
There are people who there are people who want that, and it's not me. But there are new character skins for Kate, Dell, and JD. Weapon skins, cool. All your Jack upgrades are going to carry over.
Sure.
Mutators, fine. New achievements, cool.
Mutator,
Campaign, new game plus. Mode. Big head mode is weird.
That's funny.
it's Campaign, new game plus, new story DLC, which they're calling Hive Busters, is coming later this year. So I don't know that that's coming on the 10th, but it is coming.
That's coming. They announced a date. It's December.
Yeah, it's soon.
Yeah.
Soon. Yeah. Also, aren't they pushing some sort of update to optimize for the X and S also? With this?
It's blown up through the roof. You're doing 120 frames up to 4K across multiplayer. I think they said even in campaign. I'm still interested to find out findings on that. I'm not sure if that's true. The Hive Busters DLC is going to be short, 2 to 3 hours.
That's fine.
They had that Hive Busters mode that you could play multiplayer, like that little you start with nothing and then you kind of fight your way out.
The escape mode style thing.
Yeah,
right?
I imagine that this is kind of a play off of that, and it'll have its own separate story. So, Hive Busters are these gears that they allow themselves to be captured, to be brought to the nest. Then they plant a device and blow it up and run away. So they'll add a little story to that, and you'll be able to play it single player DLC for a couple hours, which I think sounds great.
I like more content. And then in the completely ludicrous, they revoiced the entire campaign with Batista, and you can just layer him over top of Marcus and play the whole campaign that way, which is, I know some people are like, it's funny. I think it's silly. I won't probably use it, but I think it's hilarious. I'm
definitely going to replay this with Batista as
Would
Marcus.
You? I like Marcus a lot.
This is kind of divisive. I've seen several folks that are like,
me too.
I'm never going to not play as Marcus, but you're not playing as not Marcus. You're
playing
Marcus. But
yes,
the lines, his role, everything he's saying is Marcus. It's just as if Dave Bautista was playing him in a movie. And I think that's like two things. I think it's really cool that video games allow us to have that. Mm-hmm. Right? If we never have a Gears movie and Bautista can never play Marcus, then now he can. He can play it in the video game. The second thing that I think about it, think that it's really cool, is I was already planning on replaying Gears 5. And this is a great way to replay the game and make it feel new again.
My only disappointment is that this is not Gears 4, because I want to hear Batista deliver the tomatoes line from Gears 4, which I love so much.
I do wish they updated Gears 4. I've said
I would love this treatment for Gears 4. Because Gears 4 I love.
That Hive Busters mode, I'm excited because it'll feature new characters.
Yes.
And I feel pretty confident that 1 or 2 people could die in Gears 6. Like, I feel pretty confident at least 1 is, and probably 2 could. So maybe getting folks used to some new characters that could show up in the future is a good idea. I would like to see.
I'm always here for new characters. Like, I love the Gears series. I have like a special place for it. I really
have
do.
New Gears art.
Yeah, you do. And I'm wearing a Lancer shirt right now because why not? But I'm just more of it is good. And if you're gonna make me wait longer for 6, then doing stuff like this at launch is exciting. And I wish they would do it with 4 as well, because I really liked Gears 4 a great deal, more than I probably should have.
I think Marcus will die in Gears 6.
As long as they don't take Kate down, because I love her.
I think she could too.
I will cry.
She could
I can't handle.
See, it's like one of two things. I think she could die, or she could turn.
That I would.
And then that would be your next trilogy.
I don't need to cry.
Fighting
Donnie,
the Queen Kate.
I've had so many emotional roller coasters with media in the last week. I can't cry any more tears.
You could be Del, and you've got to go kill Kate. I mean, that could be very.
I can't do this.
But maybe he could save her. See, this is. I love Gears.
I do too. I actually genuinely do. I think that when this new piece of hardware comes out at some point over the next couple months, when some of the video games actually slow down, I might go back through the whole series because I like it that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it a great deal. And I have not revisited the first 3 in a very long time. So what else do we have to talk about? Let's talk about these consoles a little more on the tech side. I guess people have these, right? So impressions are starting to come out. People are talking about them. Multiplayer on Series X and S are hitting 120 frames per second and support cross-play between the Xbox One and PC. So if you get a cross-generational game, you can just play with everybody. Mm-hmm. Is that where we're landing on this? That's kind of rad.
And they're working on like trying to level the playing field with the frames and stuff.
That's interesting because, yeah.
I don't know how that works. I don't do enough PC stuff. I imagine that the PC landscape is full of, if your PC can run the game faster than somebody else, you just have an advantage.
I think we've seen some of that with Call of Duty for sure, but it's also more about, like, from a multiplayer standpoint, it's about the input device almost more than the frames for some people. I know that there's an issue with number of frames and having an advantage as well, but keyboard and mouse always get an advantage.
And they mentioned that they've reduced latency by almost 30 to 50% across campaign and multiplayer.
That's nuts. That's nuts.
Think of how different Gears 5 is going to feel when you play. It's going to be like a brand new game.
I'm very excited.
I remember over the summer or before the summer, leading up to the Series X, I kept telling everybody, I was like, man, I'm really excited for Gears 5. And everybody's like, old game. Nobody cares. Yeah. Like, I'm really excited for Gears 5. Legit, really excited to replay this video game.
I am excited about it too. They bumped the even the cinematics to 60 frames instead of 30, which is like always been a weird catching point for me, that I don't necessarily care about things being at 30 frames. It's when there's an obvious jump that I struggle, right? So it's kind of nice that it's like, well, we fixed, don't worry about it. You'll get 60 frames.
The game is going to be,
you know?
so much more stable, so much more smoother. There'll be so many more effects. It'll look so much better. All the attention and the detail that's been done, it'll load so much faster. Like, it's going to be a different experience. It's not going to be the same way you played it.
I also didn't spend as much time with Gears 5 as I kind of probably should have, because there's a ton of stuff that was just out. So I played through the story, but I didn't. Did you? I didn't
all
go
the side
through every
stuff. I got all the puzzles. Yeah, that's just how I play games.
I didn't do that because I was like, I want to see this story. I want to see how it resolves or how it bridges me, and then I'm good. I'll move on. So now I can sit here and say, well, I didn't do all that stuff.
Yeah.
So now I can, better. And I have an excuse.
I've always attributed that. I think some of my most early games were like Zelda and Resident Evil things, and I've always played that way. And every other game, that's how I play games.
I think it's interesting for me because it's telling if I do that with a game. So I'm often the type of person who wants to experience the story and the characters and get into those like personalities, but I'm okay with leaving some of the nuance in the dust, like side stuff. It's
just like Pumpkin Jack, I almost got all of those beak hits.
You almost got, and I was just like, I don't care. I want to see where this is going. If I care enough about a game to start digging into every corner to find, like Resident Evil 7 did this to me. I dug up every Madhouse coin. I played it through multiple times. I got every achievement. That means I love a game. Yeah. Like that's like a high mark. Like that's a gold star. So, but I'm happy to go back through this one. I loved Kate. She's a great character.
I'm so happy to hear you say that. I'm so happy that I have a co-host that thinks that.
I liked that game.
Directly into the camera.
Stop.
I hope you're out there. I hope you see my eyes when I said this.
I realize that it's been a year or a decade of this, even at this point, or at least that's how it feels. But I'm always here for a strong female lead character.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, look, I'll wear it on the outside. I'm a woman.
More so than some of the other ones, if I could defend Kate a little, more so than some of the other ones, I think Kate was necessary for Gears.
Yes.
Kate added a lot of levity and really a groundedness. Like the second trilogy has such a grounded approach to it that makes it feel a little bit more grown up than the first one, the first trilogy.
I agree.
And I think that's helpful as so many of us have grown up with Gears.
They also wrote her as more complex.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's just because she's female. I think they just got better at writing a character,
Yeah.
but she's conflicted in a very specific way. And the voice actress does a very good job of playing that. Like, she's very good. And we haven't had a great female Gears character
That's
since
it.
Anya. And Anya basically just gets yelled at into a microphone most of the time until 3. So
It was
I like
time. They needed to change it up, and
Yeah.
they did. And that's the difference, is that for Gears, it's a change up of the series, almost like God of War went through a transformation this gen. Gears very much did a very similar type effect, whereas I feel like a lot of other games just star a girl. They're just like,
Yeah,
hey, our new
there is that.
protagonist is just a girl now. Whereas like with Gears, it's not like a rewritten thing. It's not a rehash of something else, just with a girl character. She is put into the Gears universe with care. She
I agree.
fits in, with Marcus and JD and Dom and everybody else, and you get to meet Baird. It's almost like a revisiting. It's like
Yep.
all of that matters if you've played Gears 1, 2, and 3 in Judgment.
And she specifically feels different from those characters because she comes from a different place than all of those like career war guys.
Yep.
You know what I mean? She's not that person. She comes from something different. And I think that's why I vibe with her so much. There are some female characters that just get slotted in. And you could just replace their story with a male story and it would be like, whatever. There are some, though, that are written kind of with that care. And I think she is definitely one of them. Cassandra was also one of them from Assassin's Creed.
Really good.
I have a soft spot in my heart for certain types of girls, clearly. All right, let's move on to other video games because, boy, that was the good news. Let's talk about the lukewarm news.
Really? I'm ecstatic for this news. This news is great. What a great
Well,
development.
you're excited. Okay, Cyberpunk 2077 hit a delay. They're delayed until December 10. The reason that they've cited, they released a statement on their Twitter. You can go read it. But basically, it's like, we're delivering this on a bunch of stuff, and it's a lot, and it's hard work. And
9
I get that.
platforms.
Nice.
They updated today. They said that it's running great on PC. You can play it start to finish and next gen. So basically what they're saying is our previous gen console versions aren't running so hot.
They're struggling with that, and the problem is that those are going to sit in market until they get the next gen update actually out, because it's not going to be a day and date update. So they have to make them work, or people are going to be pissed. And I get that. So
Would
you're
you support
excited.
them delaying it at all? It's out on
What do you
Series
mean?
X and PS5 today. It'll come to PS4 and Xbox One in January or whatever.
Boy, I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like if you're going to do that, then just hold it and dump it on everything at
I'm with
once.
you.
I feel like they kind of have one shot at this game because of how bumpy it's been, up and down, that they got to do this kind of right by everybody up front.
I think if you were to stagger it, which I've seen a lot of people asking for, I think what that does is it sets you up to get hit by both people. The people
Agreed.
that will actually play it will also yell at you for not, supporting everybody. And then the people that don't get it will be upset.
Agreed.
And they will yell at you too. So this way, basically, just kind of let's keep everybody together. I saw a lot of people. I saw one person, an Xbox follower that I follow, and he said that he tweeted, he said, "I'm gutted by this news." And
It's 21 days.
That's exactly what I replied back to. I was like, it's 21 days. How is that gutting to anything at all?
Let's be clear. I still think that we need to have a real conversation in this industry about what going gold means under conditions where you can go gold and then not
So
released.
I think going gold just means you're ready to press discs.
It does, which means that you're sitting on a huge day one patch.
Well,
Going
but here's
gold
the
used to
thing.
mean the game was done.
Right, but how many
And it
games have
doesn't.
gone gold that still release buggiest? Have you seen the Watch Dogs reviews today?
Yes, I've read them all. I'm still
They
excited
went
about
gold?
the game. Yeah, that's the thing. I think
Maybe
that
they shouldn't have.
well, the problem is that people who've been in this and cared about this for so long hear gold and they think done. And we are no longer there. That no longer means anything. So what they should just say is we're pressing discs
I
now.
think it's just marketing. It's just a marketing thing.
It is.
We've
but
gone gold. Like, it doesn't really mean anything. I don't think it has this entire generation. The moment we went to discs being install files,
yes.
like going gold doesn't mean anything.
I think that some people still have the perception that it does, though, and maybe we need to
clearly.
adapt
Some
and
people
change the
think
language.
It actually plays from the disc.
Well, there's it'll play. We didn't say it'll play well. Back to your point from before, though, I think if you release this thing on the X and PS5 up front and then hold the other ones, and those are in any way buggy, people will have a crap fit.
Oh,
That's
they're
the
gonna
other
be
reason.
buggy. Like this game,
It's going to be a mess.
it's The Witcher. I mean, the amount of systems and design that this game has, it's gonna be buggy. Like, just games like this are gonna be buggy. And I will give the same defense for Watch Dogs.
Sure.
I was really upset to hear that a game that was supposed to come out a year ago is still having so many bugs today. But I will give them some defense. They're trying to do something that hasn't really been done before.
And open world games are notoriously problematic for this, no matter who makes them. There's not been a single one that I've played in the last 5 years that has launched without at least crashing to desktop or whatever.
Like a game
at least
where
one.
you could be any NPC that's walking around at any point. Like the amount
That's
of
bananas.
combinations of variations that they have to account for, something that, because it doesn't make sense. Like, you may think, well, it doesn't matter, but it does. Somebody
hard.
picks up the wrong bread or something somewhere in the game. Like, who knows what that does down the line? Like, there are effects like that to game code.
And I think what we've seen with The Witcher, and it's like the side quests and the depth that CD Projekt Red goes for, like, they're setting themselves up for this. So hold the game until it's ready. And that's fine. I understand people are upset. There are so many video games coming out in the next 3 weeks that I'm overwhelmed. So I have like, just
never
not now.
Been so happy to see a game get delayed.
Well, you can play Age of Calamity on day one. Yeah.
The day that it happened, I was like, now I can play Valhalla.
I was going to say, come with me to the War Viking Ladyland.
Yes, we're going to go do War Viking stuff. That was the first thing I thought of.
That's what we're going to do.
Oh, now I can play Valhalla, and then I can play that for a couple weeks. And then I can play Breath of the Wild, Warriors. Like,
let's go.
I was ecstatic to see this news. I was like,
I love that
CD Projekt Red.
I love that I've dragged you into the War Viking land. I have somebody else messaged me. Marcus messaged me a long time
listener of my
podcast.
Creed marketing blitz gets me every time.
Every time.
Every year I look at it and I go, I'm not going to get it. And then about a month out, they start showing all these videos and things. I'm like,
you're going to get it because you can stab people and then axe them with your War Viking lady.
Yep.
I'm so pumped about that game. I'm so excited.
And guess what? It's going to have a ton of bugs too.
Oh, I know it is. I don't care. I don't. That one, I'm just like willing to ride it out because they put strong female characters with axes in their video games. Like, you can get me a lot. You can get me pretty far with that.
I do care. I was giving Kevin some flack earlier. I care to the point, like, I really hate when games crash.
Okay.
I see a lot of people that are like dismissive of it. They're like, it's okay. It's like, I don't think so. Like, when you buy a game, you expect that it runs. Like, I feel like that's the base minimum expectation, is that you can play it without it turning off.
I will say I'm trying to think, and I played Unity at launch. Okay, just want to put that out there. I've never had an Assassin's Creed crash to desktop on me. I'm sure it's completely anecdotal. It's just not something I've ever had happen. Lots of other games have, let me tell you, but not that one. Yeah. So I don't know. Look, just hold on to the Cyberpunk until it's ready. Don't release a half-baked and even more broken version of this video game. People are too excited, and a lot of people are not getting hardware in November. New hardware. Just
people are mad. They're just how many delays and delays and delays and delays.
It's been rocky, and I don't fault people for being upset and for being disappointed and expressing frustration. Like, we're allowed to have feelings, people. Like, that's the reality of the world. But
just don't talk about it until it's ready to release.
Yeah, and
then everybody would be mad about how much they don't know.
That's also that.
Point of the matter, look, people are just going to be mad. That's the point.
People are always going to be mad, and people are allowed their anger as long as they're not using it to express death threats at anyone. Let me be very clear.
Ridiculous.
You're allowed to feel your feelings, but don't do that.
That's ridiculous.
That's crappy. Don't be that person. All right, let's talk about another. This one's, I mean, people are still mad. Let's talk about 343.
People are really mad about this, which...
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been talking a lot. You run this one now.
All right. So 343 outlined that they are implementing a new coatings customization feature. So weapons, armor, vehicle, player skins, they will have the ability to have coatings. This will replace the primary and secondary colors of Yore. So this will be like patterns, materials. If you play Gears Tactics, they have all kinds of this stuff. You can
Destiny does this.
Yes, Destiny
Everybody does this.
Every
you can put them...
gun, shoulder pad, knee pad, helmet. You can style differently, have a different pattern, a different material, a different matte finish or a rustic finish, different color.
Fortnite does this too.
They'll cover all that different stuff. And then the Halo Infinite community manager responded, and he said that they will have microtransactions, but it won't be the only way that you'll be able to acquire them. You can acquire them in game and also during special events.
Okay.
So I wanted to do this story justice because I was following it over the weekend. There are people that are big mad. They are real mad. And I saw
about what? The
so
microtransactions
here's what I
or
saw.
the colors?
It's okay. Two things. One, it's microtransactions, which I feel like is easily said. It's a free-to-play game. We knew it was going to
Yeah.
have microtransactions. Like,
Yeah.
that holds zero water for me. Like, if you're like, I don't like that it has microtransactions. Well, you know what? Suck it. I don't know what to do. Like, that sucks for you. It's a free game, right? They got to make money somehow. That's a ridiculous thing to say. The second thing that I read, and I want to try to do it justice because I admittedly am not a Halo person. I don't play multiplayer, so I don't know how important this is to people, but apparently it's important to some. They're mad that I guess the materials you'll have to unlock or buy because like clans or certain groups would squat up together and have like armor.
Yes. So it's the red versus blue thing where the people would color
How
and
big a
style
deal is that
themselves.
if it's like $1.99? Just everybody pay $2
I mean,
and look the same.
Because I think one, because people like to be mad on the internet. Let's just state that as point one. That's not the only point. Two, it sucks to have to pay for something that I guess they didn't have to before. And three, well, we don't know that yet.
No. Halo multiplayer is completely free to play.
Oh, the multiplayer is going to be
You can play it without live. You can play it on PC. True. You can play it free to play wherever you can play it.
Well, I think the third point is like, I don't know. People don't want to spend the money on that. You know, I get it, but I think that people have to wrap their head around the fact that the multiplayer here is changing. It's different. It's set up a little different than it was before. So I think this has more to do. The anger probably has more to do with the shift.
This is the part that I think I might not fully understand. So what I'm about to say might be completely wrong. I got the sense that you won't be able to customize it to your exact liking. So a coating may have a pattern and it may be red and it may be matte. You won't be able to take that coating and then make it shiny and without a pattern. Like that coating, it's like it's its own thing. It's like the one variation of this thing. So for example, if you want the special awesome silver armor that's checkerboarded, you have to get that coating. You can't like make it, you know. Right. So I think that's where people are upset about. But I think Halo's response was, but then this allows us to have so much more variations.
Yeah, they're all in on the
1,000 of these different combinations.
Well, maybe the concern is too, and I'm speaking out. I don't know if this is an actual concern. What if you can't buy the specific thing you want and you have to play the gacha game? That would suck.
So, no, hang on. But this is a very good clarification. There is 0 loot boxes in this game.
Okay, good.
It is you buy the costume or you unlock it.
Okay, that takes away what I would be pissed about.
I imagine that they'll have some special raid or some special weekend where you can just get that armor that day. I imagine there'll be something like that. You know, sometimes I have an opinion and I feel like I'm just like being a shill for Xbox.
Well, Donnie.
0 problems with this at all. And I guess maybe it's because I'm not a multiplayer guy. I was reading this news. I was like, I really don't get why you're all upset.
I think this is, and I unfortunately I don't have the counter argument to you because I just don't care. Like even when I play, I just don't care. And even when I play multiplayer, which I will play if you convince me, I don't clan. I will wear the dumbest outfit. I played through a lot of Doom.
I mean, I like a cool unicorn outfit. I want to find something that's cool, but like, do I need all of PSVG to like have the same thing so we can? No, I don't. I don't really care about any of that.
Well, you can't herd cats, so that's
as long
just
as I can
going to
play.
happen.
Like, what does it matter? Like, you know, I don't have the gold armor. Okay, well then I'll just pick up the other armor. I'll just be purple today.
Like, I think we don't have the investment here. I'm sure someone does. It's a video game, but I get people's angst, and I think a lot of it is coming from a place of uncertainty about what this game is going to be, and they're not talking about what this game is going to be a whole lot. So
that's true. And I think one of the reasons that they did mention the fact that they talked about this is because the marketing deals that they have are already showcasing this.
Exactly.
You have the Monster Energy drinks that are giving out the codes. They've got the other armor that's coming out. You know, so like people are like, how is this working? So they had to come out and say something. And I get that like it used to be you could pick your own color, but I really don't see what's that big of a deal. Like, hey, you want the cool red one? It's $2.
Yeah, if it's $2, if it's $2, you know. But I get that.
I do it in
a lot of this
all the time. We've bought like 13 skins. I don't.
Oh, we do that all the time.
Yeah, and if you don't care, you don't have to buy them. But if you do care, then buy them.
You can. Yeah, I think, like I said, I think a lot of this is displaced angst. There's not as much information as people want about what this is going to be and how it's going to work, and you're getting like this cosmetics kind of like they want to know more about the actual game, and like so they're like displacing the mad onto something
We
that
got
they
Lobo
can get
in the
mad
chat.
about.
He says 10 minutes in the 343 forums and you won't ever return.
He's not wrong that 343 like Halo fans are super picky people. They want to play the game they want. That's why I said to you on a previous episode, you cannot.
I have been doing
you have
this
to get this
armor
right.
for
Yes.
7 years and I want to do the same thing. Well, I'm sorry.
That's real. But like I said, I think that's what this is coming from. This is an angst over not knowing anything and displacing that frustration into something that they can then get mad about. You know what I mean?
sense.
Like we all do this.
I wanted to bring
me.
it up because I know that there are
Yeah.
a lot of people that I was looking at some threads and stuff, and I know there are a lot of people that are angry, and I don't feel like oftentimes I do a good job of covering Halo stuff, so I wanted to try to address it. But
I'm curious to see more details about how this is all
dude, I
going to
want
work.
some Cleveland Browns Halo armor, just like Fortnite. I want the Batman Halo armor, just like Fortnite.
Okay.
I want
Okay.
all
I want to
the
be
Fortnite
a
things.
I want to be a unicorn like Doom Eternal let me be. I crap you not. And it was the best. It's so stupid. Let me do that. I want to be I want to
Somewhere
look
like a Halo
dumb.
fan is throwing their phone.
Yeah, they're done with us. They're setting pictures of us on fire. Look, please, just no voodoo, okay? I fall up the stairs from bad joints enough as it already is. Can you just leave my knees alone? Thanks. And now for the Game Pass updates part of the show, because I feel like we get this.
Game Pass
So
podcast.
That's a lot. That's a tongue twister. So there's a bunch of stuff coming onto and leaving Game Pass. I mean, let's do leaving first. Leaving is shorter. The Lego Star Wars 3, After Party, Rise and Shine, Tacoma, Lord of the Rings, the Adventure card game, which I didn't even know was a thing, and the Red Strings Club are all leaving Game Pass as of the 30th of this month. Donnie, what's going on? We got Cardo, Five Nights.
I've
Freddy's.
never played Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh,
Ever.
scared the crap out of me that first
Yeah?
one. Yeah,
I think
it
I'm gonna
scared the
play
hell
it
out of
then.
me. It's a jump scare game. It's there to make you like,
Get scared.
startle. I think those are out on the Quest. So let me just play that in VR and pee myself. That'll be
There
fun.
you go. We have Player Unknown's Battlegrounds on Android. Scourgebringer. is
I'm
over on
excited
Android.
about this. This
Yeah?
looks great. Yeah, Scourgebringer looks really cool.
What about it?
It's another. It's not for you. It's a run-based game.
Never mind.
You know how you feel about these games. Let's not even play games here.
Unruly Heroes is coming to console and Android and PC. Celeste is coming to Android, console, and PC.
Celeste is so good.
Deep Rock Galactic. I'll be excited when it says, instead of saying Android, it just says streaming.
Oh, you wanted to say xCloud.
I do. Yeah. Deep
Yeah,
Rock
me too.
Galactic coming to Android, console, and PC. East Shade. Knights and Bikes was a Switch indie that I wanted to play that I never jumped on, so I'm happy to see it come to Game Pass.
Also on PS4 for those of you who have one of those, and Steam. It's delightful. It's like a story told adventure type. It's good. Play that.
Ark Survival Evolved Explorers Edition comes to Android, console, and PC on the 17th. So we've got all the games from October 27th through November 17th coming to Game Pass.
And then the console will be out somewhere in there.
I saw the PlayStation Plus games got announced, and I was on my Xbox Twitter timeline. A lot of people were talking about where Games with Gold was, and I don't think I've ever actually. I've probably definitely referenced it on the show, but we have a lot of new listeners. I'm never going to cover the Games with Gold updates on Xbox Empire because I don't care.
I will say that I often redeem them to my account, and I have used
I don't
them.
even do that.
See, I don't ever play them when I redeem them.
If it's
I'm the worst.
notable, right? If it's like, hey, Call of Duty is in Games with Gold, I'll bring that up. But most of the games are not notable. A lot of them are back and pat things.
Yes, most of them are
older
back.
things.
Yes.
And I never really care about the case as to which one's better. Who won this month? Games with Gold or PlayStation Plus? It's like, yeah, the answer is Game Pass. Again, this is the Game Pass podcast.
This is the Game Pass podcast.
The way that people omit Game Pass from these monthly, because I only ever hear about Games with Gold once a month, and it's when PlayStation Plus gets announced.
Yeah, the PlayStation
And
Plus
I'm
announcement.
like,
I
do not care. I wish they would old yeller this program. Just get rid of it.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just Game Pass now. Everything goes Game Pass.
Well, I think this gives them the option to just kind of nudge some older games into people's laps that they might check out, and then check out the newer games on Game Pass. I think that's some of it. And also just
Don't care.
I don't care either. I redeem them to my account, but I almost never play them.
I am never going to be sympathetic to the person without Game Pass and an Xbox case. Don't care. Get Game
if you're
Pass.
paying for gold at this point and
What are you
not
doing?
Game Pass, then
What are you
I'm
doing?
confused.
Yeah.
A little
I'm never going to be
confused.
when I said that today, I reached out, I tweeted back at somebody who was talking about this very same thing. And he was like, but there are people that have the games with gold without Game Pass. I was like,
Yeah,
and
there
we
are.
don't care about those people. I don't understand.
I still care about you
I
as
don't.
people.
Stop.
Donnie, damn
Stop
it.
wasting
I
your
can't with
money.
him.
Stop wasting your money and get Game Pass. Get
You
with the
sh-
program already.
You are served to, I will say this is the nice way to say this. He's the tough cop. I'm the nice cop. You are better served in buying a few fewer games per year, physical games, to buy Game Pass than you would be otherwise. Just getting
Just
gold.
read off 10 games that are coming out this month.
And even if you want to play, if one game a month comes to Game Pass that you want to play and you're already buying gold, so you deduct that price from the difference, you do make out. So like,
you
think
make out
about
in droves. You don't have to buy gears. You just get gears for free. Like that's the reason I don't want to talk about it. I don't care about it because what's going to happen? They're going to put out like Lego Star Wars 1 from 360, and people are going to be like, Games with Gold sucks this month. It's like, who are you? Who's tweeting this hot take? What headline writer are you?
Not a hot.
You're just missing out on this giant program called Game Pass that is the center of the console.
That is no longer a hot take. That is, I left my coffee out and have to reheat it take. Okay? Those is not
dumb waste of time.
He's so grumpy, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I like
get
grumpy
this way
Donnie.
with Game with Gold. Like who cares?
I've kind of felt like this for a long time with PlayStation Plus too. Like I don't necessarily subscribe to PlayStation Plus for like I don't.
And they do better because they don't.
They
have
do
Game
better.
Pass.
They do better. Well, they have, but they have the other
don't,
service.
right? But they don't. See again, Game Pass. It all comes back to Game Pass.
Oh God. I would like to note that I don't get Game Pass for free because of this podcast. I pay for my crap, and so does Donnie. We should.
I have a
but
big
here I am.
square that BMOX made me that says I got Game Pass because of Donnie Reese. And that's
we
a
need
shirt
t-shirts. We need
to
t-shirts.
have, for sure.
I want that on a mug. I just want a mug that says, "Why don't you have Game Pass?" That's
I'm working
what I want
on it.
the mug.
I gave Rebecca the store. She's working on it. She's doing stuff.
Oh no. Yeah, Becca. Let's go. I'm here for that. I'll give you that one too.
Nice.
All right, let's talk about questions because this is my favorite part of the show because you guys ask really good questions. Okay, before I get to this first question, Microsoft decided to take a meme and make it a real thing. And they have sent a couple of celebrities Xbox Series X themed refrigerators.
They have a giveaway.
And they're giving one away, and I
want it so bad.
I want it real bad.
I told my wife I'd remodel the entire kitchen. She's super scared. Here's what happened. I said, I saw the tweet and I said, Xbox made a refrigerator. And my wife legit looked at this as my poor wife. You would think that through osmosis, she would learn more from me. She looked at me and she goes, why? To keep their console cool?
Oh my God. I love her already because she's
like,
she's so pure and you haven't ruined her.
Oh, did
yet.
you hear what I said to her? I said, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard you say.
I'm surprised she didn't pull a knife out of the knife block.
That was
I'm
my
legitimately
little
surprised.
response. I was like,
so I showed my husband this as a flip side, and he looks at my phone and he looks directly into my face and he goes, "That would look nice in the garage." Because we keep the man likes living and being alive, so he doesn't mock me quite as much.
After I teased her for that ridiculous statement she said, I showed her the video. We watched it unveil and everything, and she kept looking at it, and she goes, and when it came done, she looked at me, she looked me right in the eyes, and she goes, "Don't."
Yeah.
She thought that they were purchasable and that I was going to buy one.
Speaking of that, I think it was Aaron Greenberg who tweeted something about wanting to know if people would buy a mini fridge. And I was like, yo, yes, I'll put that in my basement so fast. Give me that.
If I can only see it now, like I'm going to take out my sink because it's got to go right in the middle. So take out the sink, get new cabinets. The cabinets are black granite countertops. Put the Xbox fridge right in the center of the kitchen. Build the rest of the kitchen around it and then put in some green LED lights that shine down on top of it.
For anybody who listens to this in the audio version, I'm rubbing my temples just for Donnie's wife, like in solidarity with her
the
soul.
Fridge, Xbox. I will
Don't
put
give
it
him
to
the fridge.
use.
He's gonna end up divorced.
I will put
give
it,
him that fridge.
but I'm keeping the fridge.
She'd be like, sure, fine. You can live with your fridge in the backyard. The house belongs to me.
You can have the dog. I'm keeping the fridge.
Yeah. Oh, you can have the dog. Chris asked, if you were to win that fridge, what drink and gaming snack would you make sure you had in there at all times?
So this is a good question because you're new here. Do you snack when you game?
I do, but I don't it depends. I keep a bag of something usually. I don't eat candy at night, but I eat like Doritos and I use chopsticks so I don't get the dust on the controller.
That, right? Yeah, the chopsticks.
Get your chopsticks, kids. Get good at using chopsticks so you don't ruin your controllers. Refrigerated snacks, though, like, okay, look,
I was sitting there
I-
thinking, like, what does that even mean?
I love string cheese.
Ooh, good.
Polio only. Polio string cheese only. I can't stand any of the other brands. I don't like it. This thing would have a grip of string cheese in it at all times.
Good pull.
Just a stack.
I don't really snack when I play games. At best, it's jelly beans. I do love jelly beans. I eat jelly beans all the time.
Can't keep those in the fridge. You'll
I'm
split
being
a filling open.
Diabetic because of it. But it would be drinks. I'm not a beer guy, but sodas and sodas and water. I like the sparkling water. We go through cases and cases and cases of sparkling water a week.
I drink so much seltzer. I quit drinking like 4 or 5 years ago, and like I guess every person who quits drinking goes right to seltzer. I don't know why, but that's like a thing.
Really?
We all do it. I don't know why.
I drink the seltzer and then drink the alcohol.
See, I used to mix them. I don't do that anymore, but we drink a crap load of seltzer in my house, so it would probably just be lined with seltzer, and then a couple. Like I will drink energy drinks. I'm an adult. I drink
those Halo
them.
coatings.
I don't usually drink energy drinks with sugar in them, so
they got sugar-free versions.
They do. I'm gonna buy it. You know who I am. I'm an idiot. So those would be probably what I would keep in there, but there would be an entire stack of string cheese. I love string cheese.
Monster-sponsored Master Chief armor coating. It just says Monster.
Just the M's all down it in different colors. It would have to be rainbow because they have M's in every color for their different flavors. I would put that. See, that's the kind of stupid I'm here for.
Yeah,
I would put that on my character.
The exclusive,
with the unicorn
exclusive skin that you can only get when you buy the thing. Yeah,
I would wear it. I know who I am. The next one I like also, Bowza asks, after hearing very positive reviews for the DualSense controller, do you think Xbox will release a haptic enhanced controller at some point this gen?
This is a really good question.
This is a great question. I don't know the answer.
You're buying a PS5, so how do you feel about the reception of the controller?
So I'm actually kind of excited to get my hands on this controller. And I say this because it's new and different, right? Yep. It's like the light bar. Yeah, it might be a gimmick and it might not end up cashing in and amounting to anything. But when you open the Xbox and you pull out that new controller, it's very similar to what you've been playing with.
Thing we've always had.
So it's exciting to get something that's kind of silly and new and does something different. So I'm actually really excited about this thing. And I kind of wish in my soul that the Microsoft controller was different, like a little bit more different.
I'm going to take the opposite approach. I'm going to be Team Xbox here. Xbox was different last gen.
You're right.
They put in their motors. They were the first controller to have haptics. It's not the same kind of haptics, but they have haptics on their triggers, and you can feel it when you play Forza. And so they've already kind of done it. And it's not the same. What PlayStation's doing is more and better. I 100% get that. But Xbox doesn't need to make it different because so many of their players already like what they have.
I think to that point, too, is that what you're getting when you buy this new Xbox is a box that you plug in and turn on and looks and feels very similar to the box you just had.
More but better.
And turned on.
It's the same thing but better.
You're going to be very comfortable. The UI is the same across both these generations with a little bit of moving backgrounds on the new box and everything. And so the controller matches that strategy. Yep. Whereas I think Sony is like, you're going to turn this thing on. It's going to be a whole different UI you've never seen before, a whole different feel.
They believe in generations.
They believe in generations. So I don't think Microsoft will do it because I don't think they have to. That's the best way I'm going to say it. I don't think there's any need to do this. I don't think they feel like this has to be there.
The biggest question that I have regarding Bowser's question is whether or not devs are going to use it.
I'm curious. That's the thing.
This is the Wii U all over again. The game had all kinds of stuff that you could do with it, but getting developers to actually implement it and do it was a big problem. Yeah. And the PlayStation 4 was the same way. The touchpad. Sony
did this with the PS3 as well, with the motion. Do you remember throwing grenades in Uncharted? Do you remember how pissed off that made you? I hate it. If developers use this, and I think that this has more use than like motion, haptics are cool. If developers use this, it could be awesome, especially in something like a horror game or a driving game. Mm-hmm. Beyond that, like, I guess
and apparently Astrobot does it. Like a lot of people are very, raving about the tension on the triggers and stuff like that. And I guess to that point, I mean, I guess I would concede that it sounds like a brand new way of feeling how to play a video game.
I think that's cool. I think Sony kind of has to, right? If you're going to come into this as a complete refresh system, then you better give me that. Whereas if Microsoft's strategy is to come into this and say, you can just unplug the cables that you have in the back of the one you have now and plug them into this new one, then yeah, you better give me something that feels very similar, or maybe a little better. So I think they're just going to stick with their triggers.
If it becomes something that's super adopted, if it becomes like Assassin's Creed Valhalla is better to play on PlayStation because of it, then I think Xbox will react. Do I expect that to be the case? I actually don't. If you're asking me to guess, I would guess that first-party devs will make good use of this. Some other devs will put some effort into at least deploying them, like driving and shooting. You'll feel the vibrations. The vibrations will feel a little bit better than they do in Xbox, but I don't expect I don't expect a third party to go hard on designing around the haptics of the controller.
I agree. I think you'll get a game here and there that'll do it. I don't think it'll be enough for Microsoft to be like, oh, we have to. That's where I think
it would be interesting if this is something that they added to the Elite. They've never really touched like gimmicks with the Elite. The Elite's always about quality,
precision.
Yeah.
Precision.
But it would be interesting if they come out with an Elite model that had some haptic built-in feature that the regular one doesn't.
But it's already so expensive. Don't do that. Mm-hmm. Then it'll be a $400 controller, and I'll want it.
PlayStation's selling their controller at $70. It can't cost that much to put in there.
I wonder.
Yeah,
I wonder.
If you're already selling a controller at $180, like what's another $10?
That's how I feel about this entire generation. What's another $10?
With the new controller, I'm really excited about the new controller. I'll say it again: screen share button. I'm really excited. But they also have that D-pad that they're pulling from the Elite.
So I like that D-pad because I was looking at some of the high-res photos and listening to some, discussion on that D-pad, and it's like the Elite's disc, but they raise the 4 cardinal directions slightly.
So you can feel around it better.
That's what I wanted out of the Elite's pad, and I wish they would sell that for the Elite. Mm-hmm. Like if they would sell me an attachment, because I would love to put that on. I really like the circle, but I want the cardinals to bump out because of how I play certain games with the D-pad.
I've also heard that the rounded bumpers is better to hold in the hand, and I've also heard from everybody that has them, the heft of the controller feels Elite.
Yeah, everybody says that it feels like they took the lessons they learned with that Elite and put it into this new controller, and it's got the texture.
Gamepad. Yeah,
yeah.
So it's not like you're just going to pick up the same old Xbox controller. Everybody I've listened to is like, yeah, this is the best controller.
So I'm so excited to get all of this hardware.
But you think about that. So if they took a lot of what made the Elite marketable and they put it in their regular model, then how do they make the next Elite?
I honestly, then you could be right. More motors, or do they bother?
That's another good point.
Like, why bother? Like, why bother to sell this thing?
If it was me, because then you're asking developers to program for 2 different controllers. It's like, at the end of the day, who cares? Honestly, I think the history of gaming has been paved with controller gimmicks that come around and go. It's just, but at the end of the day, we want 2 sticks, a D-pad, 4 face buttons, and 4 triggers.
Yeah, I think to the point about the Elite, I could see them getting rid of the Elite. They've had so many problems across the 2 generations with RMAing those things and people being frustrated and the price tag. I could see them just not making an Elite Series 3 and saying, you know what, we took all the lessons we learned, put it into our base controller, and we're just going to give you every color option you can reasonably imagine. But we're not going to do this anymore because we're actually it's more stressful than it's worth it for us. So I could see them not even bothering.
I don't think so.
Oh, you think you're going to get an Elite 3? When?
Gear 6.
So do you think in the next by the end of next year, do you think you'll get an Elite 3?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so either. Because the Xbox Custom Studio won't come back online, like Design Labs won't come back online until after 2021.
Yep.
So it'll be late 2021. So I imagine Elite 3 is 2022 at the earliest.
That'll be interesting. I'm curious to see if they bother.
I think Gear 6 could also be 2022 at the earliest.
I would say the earliest. They haven't said anything about that thing. So unless it's magically done.
2019, they have a great engine. It's proving itself right now.
Agreed.
So I don't think it needs to be redesigned and reworked and everything. I think what they have now works. So if they're working on it now, and let's say they have been for the past year in pre-pro, you give it 2021, 2022, maybe 2023 if COVID has been really hard.
I was going to say dev cycles have been tough. I could see 2023. just
Yeah.
because everything is getting bumped. It's just the reality of every industry right now, to be
And then
honest, even mine.
if they're going to do a remaster or something, then you push it back even further. But
Agree.
yeah, I would imagine that we will at least see an Elite controller with Gears. And I do think Xbox will keep the Elite thing because I think it's a part of their brand. And I think it's a part of their franchises. I think Halo and Gears folks want to play on Elite controllers.
Fair enough. I love mine. I use it on PC and console.
love
It's
mine
like
too.
it's one of my
sold it
favorite
because
controllers.
it was selling for obscene amounts of money.
It's a good controller though.
I sold my Elite 2 when they showed us this new controller.
Okay.
I was like, I'm just going to use that.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I'm kind of excited to get them side by side because I have both, and I'm kind of excited to see, like, you know, with the exception of the paddles, what's different. You know what I mean?
That's something we can have Sean do for us.
Oh yeah. Click the buttons into the microphone. I'm gonna make him absolutely insane. I already love you, Sean, and I'm sorry in advance. All right, let's do one more question, and then we will call it a day. Do you have one you want to talk about, Donnie, in this lovely list?
I haven't read through them all.
Oh, I love you. You're so good.
You just put me on blast, so I would let
all right,
you
how
take
about
it.
this one? This one's slightly controversial. This one by Mark. Do you agree there's not enough original games made these days? Too much emphasis on game sequels.
Do I agree? No. There's a ton of original games to be made every day. They're publishing them every month, every week. There's indie game. There's tons of stuff. Do I believe that games, for the most part, haven't innovated in new gameplay designs? I would agree with that.
Sure.
I think we've done a lot of what games can do. I think VR might have been the last big iteration, but even then, VR truly is just the next step of motion controls. It's really just motion controls for your face. But everything else about it, like you're waving wands around, like that spatial measuring, like it's Wii, it's Kinect, it's all of that. They just did it for your face. They did it for your glasses. That's really what VR is. But yeah, I mean, we shoot stuff, we climb stuff, we do puzzles. We have adventure games. We combine elements. We combine things. We find things. We really haven't done something completely new in a video game in a while. It's more like we take something and we apply it to a different situation or a different way that's different. But still, I mean, I don't think that's a lack of originality. I just think it's a lack of, I mean, what else could you do? Like, that's the thing about what's the unknown. Like, you don't know until somebody does it.
I think the flip side of this too is like a lot of what is innovative is shifted into smaller games, right? Because they are more nimble to be innovative, right? So like you look at these big studios and like, unfortunately, there's a dude sitting in a back room crunching a bunch of numbers and deciding what the return on investment has to be.
Well, it's hard we're going to commit $100 million of development to something we don't know if people like it or not.
Yeah, you can't
That's
just
a
make
risk.
You can't just make a big beefy game that way anymore. It doesn't work that way anymore. You have to make the sequel and then flip something inside the sequel on its head. Watch Dogs is a really good example of that. Like, what if we made a sequel where you could play every NPC, but we're leveraging money we've already made and fans we already have.
Sure.
You just can't do brand new, very innovative or different with AAA. It's hard. Games cost a lot of money to make.
I think you can, but even when you see those, I think oftentimes, so like what I would pull from recent example would be like Ghost of Tsushima.
I would use Deathloop probably as mine, where you're going, I think, with this.
Like,
but
it's a brand new IP and it's a brand new game, but it's very familiar from a game design aspect, and it's not something we've never thought we couldn't do before.
Right.
And then you have a very talented team at Sucker Punch that you believe in, so you let them do that.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, so I wouldn't agree. I think there's plenty of original games.
Yeah. It depends on what you want to say is original, right? Are you talking about just new IP with similar concepts? Yeah. Now, Obra Dinn is an indie game, right? So that's exactly my point. They can afford a lot more nimbleness and to just do the thing. You know what I mean? Like, and I think a lot of the really interesting ideas and stories have kind of moved into that. You get great AAA stories, but you're getting an open world game from Sucker Punch, and you've done one of those before, and that's fine.
Yep.
And Deathloop is very similar. It's like, well, it's very arcane, but with a new concept, with a new twist, and that's what you're going to see. I don't know that I would say that there's a ton of emphasis on sequels. I think it's just that, look, people keep buying them, man. I don't know that you're going to sell it. You know,
when you invest millions and millions of dollars into a team, and then they invest all of that time and effort into an engine, into a world, into a fantasy, and into an IP. There's no point of them just putting it on a shelf especially if
Right.
it's successful. That's not the point. The point of launching a new IP is to hopefully have 2 or 3 sequels out of that IP.
Yeah. It becomes that's your return on investment discussion.
Yeah.
You built the engine for Gears 4. You updated that engine. Of course, you're going to leverage it until the rock runs out of blood.
Yep.
That's the way this works.
And they'll do the same thing with Ghost. With Ghost 2.
I agree.
Usually the sequels are what's paying you back for the investment on the original, on the first one.
It's usually that second game
like
that you
Horizon?
actually like. Yeah.
They spend all this time and everything diving into what Horizon is so they could make Horizon 2. That's the
Sure.
moneymaker.
Yeah. Or sell you DLC.
Yeah.
To that point also. Like reworking God of War. Do you think they reworked God of War to make you one game? No. Are you out of your mind?
Yeah, it's a lot of time and investment.
You know, but I think that I thought this question was interesting because it's like, it is interesting to think about how the industry has shifted. It used to be like the original announcement of Assassin's Creed, the first. It's a ton of money into a completely new concept, and they can do that. We can't do that really anymore. You don't see as much of that because games have gotten more expensive to make, but they're not selling for more dollars per copy.
And we also see less people in space, and that's because you're a swing and a miss away from going under unless
Bankrupt.
you're backed by a Microsoft or Ubisoft where they can stomach one.
Exactly.
You know?
And they don't often want to stomach one.
No, nobody does
anymore.
because it's very costly.
The margins are very close. Like I said, you're still selling games for $60, maybe $70.
That's why you
in this
make a
next gen.
smaller experience to kind of proof test the experience. You get a grounded out there, you get a bleeding edge out there to like,
Yeah.
let's see what this is, and maybe if it's something, we'll really do it.
Or you see a studio that makes a couple of smaller games that gets picked up by one of these bigger studios and
Did you see
wrapped up.
the grounded demo with the koi and stuff? The update?
No, not yet. I'm interested
Looks
in that
so
game, but I
good.
haven't jumped in. Oh man, maybe I have to check that out in my
Got a lot
free
of stuff
time.
coming.
There's so many video games. There's so many video games that everybody who's listening to this podcast should go play some video games because there's just going to be more video games. It's never going to stop. I'm going to be very tired for the entire month of November.
Can't wait. Valhalla,
Pumped.
Call of Duty. It's gonna be so much
Woo.
fun.
I'm pumped. I know you're pumped. I think that's going to do it this week, unless you got anything else going on, Donnie.
That sounds good.
Yeah. All right, kids. Follow us on the social medias. I'm going to say it like I'm your mom. Follow us on the Twitter Bird app. I'm ET Dragon. He's Eat the Hype. You can also follow the Xbox Empire if you want to keep up with when we're going to go live. We usually are, it's always the same time, but it's going to get a little wonky over the next couple of weeks, potentially, because of guests. That's all I'm going to say about that. And hang out with us on the Discord. There'll probably be GIFs everywhere. If
In the
lately has
PlayStation
been.
room.
Oh, it's just
Come in
gifts
the
and
Xbox
anger in there.
room and you can hear me make fun of PlayStation folks.
Well,
and then the No More Heroes hype over in Shack Room.
yeah. Come party. Come. Then in random, you can see.
I'm so
I
excited.
don't know. Don't go in there. It's scary in there. I'm just kidding. Come hang out on the Discord. Tweet us. Let us know what you guys are playing and what you guys want us to maybe talk about or questions. And until then, go play some video games, and we will see you next week.
Good night, folks.
Bye.